Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast that wouldn't die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
Hey!
This week, we'll be discussing the science fiction classic, Star Trek First Contact, starring Patrick Stewart and the rest of the gang.
Oh my God, I love Next Generation is the best. The Next Generation is the best. But let me tell you what they did not do best, and that was the movies. I think the series shines much brighter than these movies.
Okay, well, this is what I will say. I am not a huge Star Trek person.
What?
I know, shocking. I watched The Next Generation when it was originally on for a couple of years. Like, I was in middle school, and I thought it was great. I was in love with Counselor Troy. And then I just got older, and I stopped tuning in every week, and then suddenly it was off. But I'll tell you what, I did watch all the movies up until, I think this was the last one. Maybe I saw the one right after this one.
Nemesis?
Yes. Oh, I saw Nemesis once and don't even remember it. Then there was Insurrection, I think was the one after
Insurrection. And I may have seen all of these, but I blacked them all out of my head.
Most of them I've only seen like once. You know what I mean? But I'll tell you what. This is a good one.
And I will tell you this. I didn't like it as much as I remembered it.
Well, I will say this. The part I like is the part you'd imagine I'd like. All the Borg stuff. I love
the Borg.
When they were on the planet with Zefram Cochrane, I was about to fast forward. I could give a damn about the actual first contact of the story. I just wanted... Because it's basically zombies. It's zombies in space. That's what I'm down. I'm down for that.
I will tell you, I think the series dealt with the Borg much better than the movie. With Q and the Borg, I'm telling you, I just think that the series dealt with it better.
And you missed Whoopi Goldberg as well, I imagine.
Okay, Whoopi Goldberg I think she was really on Deep Space Nine. She was a couple of episodes, I think, on Next Generation.
I thought she was the bartender Guinan in the TNG. Am I mixing this up?
Am I mixing it up? I thought she was on like Deep Space Nine.
Who knows? So why don't you give us the 30-second synopsis of Star Trek First Contact?
All right, so as we learn from the series, because that's what they were alluding to at the beginning, is that Picard, Jean-Luc, who is so hot. Anyway, Jean-Luc had previously been captured by the Borg. So because of that...
And who are the Borg, for people who don't know?
The Borg is this... it's like a virus almost. They move from planet to planet. It's like the famous lines are resistance is futile and you will prepare to be assimilated. So basically they just move from planet to planet, either killing or just sucking in all the inhabitants and making them a Borg. They're like a virus. They're like these zombie viruses. They start putting... If you're a robot, they give you human parts. If you're a human, they start giving you robot parts. And it's like a hive. It's a collective or a hive with the queen bee, and everyone else is a drone that works. And it's a group think. You're connected with everybody else.
Right.
Resistance is futile.
There's cyborgs, essentially.
Yeah, in the old series, the queen wanted old Jean-Luc to be her king, but he managed to escape. So he still has some a little anger and things, and every now and then he still feels a connection. But because of this, Star Trek fleet or command does not trust him. So while everyone else is fighting the Borg, they're sending the Enterprise off to the nether reaches as far away from the Borg
not
as
the
humanly
nether
possible.
Regions, not the neutral zone, not the nether regions. Good Lord. Continue, please.
Anyway, so of course, Starfleet is losing because they don't know what to do. So he defies orders, blows up the Borg ship because he knows everything about the Borg now because of his intimate relationship with the Borg. And then a little ball jumps out and like an escape pod, and they chase it down, and it goes through time back to Earth when Earth, right before first contact, like when they first made contact with extraterrestrials and saved the day, which I found fascinating because once we make contact with outside world, there's no war.
Right.
Well, what do you mean there's no war? There's maybe no war on Earth. There wouldn't be frickin' Starfleet if there were no wars, because all they do is cruise around on their battleships, effing with people, fighting the Romulans, fighting the Borgs. That sounds like war to me.
They're explorers. They just happen to get into scrapes from time to time.
Armed to the teeth. It's what is it? Prepare for war. To prepare for peace, you must prepare for war, or whatever.
Sounds good.
Come on, it's always a conflict. If they were just cruising the universe, collecting leaf samples, no one would be watching this damn show.
Leaf samples.
So anyway, they get down there and the Borg start attacking. Anyway, they blow up the Borg ship. Now they got to reset the world, and because the Borg were interfering with the first contact.
Right.
So now they got to basically prop James Cromwell up and fix his ship and get everything ready for first contact. Meanwhile, the Borg ship blew up, but the Borg are on the ship. They capture Data. They sex him up. Data was faking it and saves the day. The end.
Exactly. Good work.
And once again, I was watching what is it, a 4K on my $150 Target Christmas TV. So everybody shimmered, especially Data, like a Twilight vampire. Everyone looked like they are like one of those rave party boys from the clubs in New York.
Wah, wah, wah. Very sad.
Wah, 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 wah.
So yeah,
I will tell you what made me stop watching Next Generation.
Lay it on me. Guinan.
No. Wesley Crusher. They kept more and more.
I thought they
and
kicked
more
him off
Wesley.
the show eventually. Sent him to Starfleet.
They should have killed him like frickin' Carl. They hung on to Carl too long, and then every show was about Wesley. Wesley, get the hell out of here. We just want Picard and Riker.
It's true. Well, so they need that teenage angsty guy that's in there.
No, they don't. He was a whining crybaby. I just wanted to punch him in the face, just like Carl from Walking Dead. Why did the Borg take Crusher, man?
You know why they didn't take him. They only take him if it'll improve society. They don't want that.
Exactly. All right, what's your take on this jibbity jabbity?
A lot of what you said is obviously right on point. Picard, that Starfleet doesn't want Picard involved because he was too close, because he was assimilated for a brief time.
Right.
Which, this is kind of an interesting point, because they're like, when they assimilate you, they start attaching, they pump like the nanites or whatever into your skin, so you turn all gray and zombie-ish looking. Then they start attaching like cybernetic chunks, like pop
like
your arm
the $6 million
off,
man,
poke your eyeball out. Evidently, they didn't do any of that stuff to old Picard. They just glued some stuff.
No, he had an eye.
So what? They just popped that off, and well, luckily we have an extra eye hanging around. Picard looks great.
Well, I just saw
Picard looks great.
Picard had a freaking personal trainer, because all of a sudden he's climbing stuff up. He's popping muscles out of his arms. Because you don't know. Picard could be 40, he could be 80. Right. No one knows.
Patrick Stewart has looked the exact same for about 50 years. So, I mean, who the heck knows?
So it's like 1977 was the last time he had hair. After that, he's just simply stopped aging.
I think if you watch, it's Excalibur, you see Patrick Stewart in the early 80s, still bald as can be. I guess that's what you feel even now when you see Patrick Stewart. for it.
I feel it now. I feel a twitch in my leg right now just thinking about it. Now, he was also in How the West he was in How the West Was Won. Oh. And I believe he was like bald on top with like one of those curtains, a black-haired curtain that goes around.
I see. That's important. That's a good...
It's like Name of the Rose, Sean Connery.
So they're ordered, the Enterprise is ordered far away, but they eventually say like, we're going to defy our orders and go help out because everybody else is getting slaughtered.
He's all, Starfleet, I'm on my way.
Well, even Data says, Captain, I think I speak for everybody when I say, to hell with our orders. This is a very important moment for Data, evidently. Anywho, so they fly in there.
I used to think Data was cute, too. Jesus. I love Star Trek Next Generation.
Anyway, they arrive just in time. Picard, because of his ability to know the Borg, tells them exactly where they all aim their weapons. They blow up the crazy cube Borg ship, but not before the escape pod launches. Like you said...
Now, let me ask you this. Do you not think the Borg cube looks like the puzzle box from the Pinhead movies?
It's absolutely the puzzle box from Hellraiser. No question.
It's the Cenobites. The Borg are the Cenobites.
And they look the same, don't they? All clad in black.
They could be. Why not?
Zombie flesh.
Gray, oily skin and like hooks and wires.
Oh,
it was like, what's his name? Clive
Barker.
It's all Clive Barker all the time.
So they discovered that the Borg in that escape pod are about to go back in time because the Borg is going right for Earth, basically. That's why they all have to, Starfleet has to step in and help them. When they go through that passage, though, suddenly... Now Earth has been assimilated. Like 9 billion people live on Earth, all Borg. So the Enterprise follows the Borg ship back through time. And they even say like, well, we're okay, but our shields are down. They kind of casually throw that statement out there. They plant that seed.
That's not a big deal. Our shields are down.
They quickly blast the Borg escape shuttle, but not before it's shooting lasers down on Earth. Essentially, like you said, this guy, Zefram Cochrane, it's happening? Is it the Borg?
It's the Borg. They're still running the bells.
The bells. So basically, in 2063, 10 years after World War III, Zefram Cochrane, created this nuclear missile that has faster than light capabilities with his friend Lily. And when they're experimenting on this thing, the Vulcans just happen to be driving by and notice, oh, they have faster than light travel. Now they're worthy of us making contact with. Whereas before we were considered too primitive to even bother, evidently. This is a very important period in history because then war ends all over. It's a worldwide peace. You know, the economy improves. No more coronavirus. Things are going great, evidently. So when the Borg blow up, shoot down into this area, they damage the ship that he would have taken the next day, basically. The Borg's trying to destroy the humans preemptively, so that evidently they'll be able to run unchecked in the future, in the 24th century.
It's the old same thing. If you could go back in time, would you kill baby Hitler?
Exactly.
He hasn't done anything yet. He's a baby. Would you kill him?
So that's basically, but in this scenario, Zefram Cochrane is Hitler, I guess, is what you're saying? Interesting. So Picard...
We don't know what James Cromwell's up to.
We don't. So Picard beams down with Data. They realize that they have to help. LaForge comes down with a team to rebuild it. Everything seems cool, except there seems to be some temperature fluctuations on the engineering deck. What could that be? This is all very strange.
That seems normal.
Seems strange. So Riker comes down with Troy. So there's two subplots going on here. You have Riker and Troy go down to try to convince Zefram Cochrane, who's kind of a boozy dude. He's just like, I don't know. We've been working on this thing for years trying to set this up, and now I'm kind of ambivalent. I don't know if I feel like taking the flight now. I don't know.
So now let me ask you this. So doesn't it just make you wonder that really you can't change history? This is what happened, and really he gets credit for something he really never did?
Perhaps. I mean, there's a lot of questions that pop up in this, right? He has to make that flight.
I'm still obsessed with the idea that every time you're transported, you're dead,
clones,
and a new you is.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. It's still
This is a very troubling situation. So, but now they're losing contact with the Enterprise. Picard says, Riker, get down here. I'm going to go back up to the ship. Because now they've lost all communications to Deck 13 and Deck 14. And oh no, what's going on? They had to bring up Lily, who was Zefram Cochrane's.
Because nobody notices that people, beamed aboard. Or there's like people cruising around dressed as robots.
Well, okay, again, I'm not Mr. Star Trek, but there seem to be a lot of like maintenance tunnels that people are constantly like retiring into. Oh my God, the Borg are coming. Quick, get into this maintenance tunnel with like lights flashing.
Everybody has the schematics of the ship memorized.
I mean, it's literally nothing but maintenance tunnels. There are more maintenance tunnels than there are just regular hallways, evidently. And like you said, the Borg are crawling around in the maintenance tunnel, so they sense people up. Something's wrong with the thermostat. Let me go in there and check. Ah! Hear a scream. There's people 10 feet away. Do not react to the scream. They're like, Yeoman Johnson, are you there? Where are you? Where are you, Engineer Smith? Ah! So, yeah, not very subtle. But then 5 seconds later, we don't know how many Borgs transported onto the Enterprise, but within a matter of seconds, seemingly, there's 100 Borgs roaming around.
There's 100 Borgs. And quite frankly, they don't really give a damn. They have something to do, so they're pretty much just going to ignore you unless you try to kill them.
They clearly grab some homies early on. But it's like, what is the Borg technology? Basically taking vacuum cleaner tubes and sticking them to the walls? Oh my God, the Borg have been here. There's 3.
Yeah, number one thing, if you want to be a Borg for Halloween, you need to order vacuum cleaner tubes and plenty of them.
Okay, so they picked up Worf, who was the captain of the Defiant during the battle, so he's on board helping out as well. They're like, okay, well, the Borg are here. We got to take care of this. Picard, wearing his jaunty like hunting vest or whatever it is. Data comes around.
Right.
There's multiple humorous scenes with Data showing emotions and Picard being like, damn it, would you shut off your emotion chip? For God's sakes.
He's all very excited. Do you remember the episode where Data had a girlfriend for like a whole
I remember an episode where it was like everybody like got the touch, where they're all like nymphomaniacs, and Data and Lieutenant Yar have an interlude for some reason. And Data says in this movie, "I am fully functional."
Yes, he likes to
well
discuss
versed
that
in multiple techniques, which is kind of like a little TMI, a little too much. I don't know if I need all this. Thanks a lot, Data. Good times. So they're roaming through the halls, and they go, "Well, with our fancy phaser guns, because the Borg are constantly evolving, evidently, you can only hit them you can only shoot them so many times before they adjust. So now like a shield pops up and now they're immune."
Well, the other thing is they have to grab a couple of you, and this is the reason why they grabbed Data, was because they're going to download all the information out of your brain. So that's how they learn about you.
Basically what happened is the Borg have effectively taken over 90% of the ship. Before they can finish it, Data locks out the computer with an encryption that they can't break. So they need him now. They need because only Data knows the code, I guess, to get into the computers. So that there's that whole thing going on. Picard meets Lily in one of the maintenance tunnels. She was brought up to the ship because she had radiation poisoning caused by the attack on the Borg on their nuclear missile that they were going to fly on. So they brought her up. Picard was very much like, "Hey, Prime Directive. Prime Directive. Do you know what the Prime Directive is?"
Which Beverly immediately the Prime Directive is you're not supposed to interfere.
Throw it right out the window. Troy goes to Zefram Cochrane and goes, "Hey, we're from outer space."
Kirk was the worst. Kirk was the worst. Not only am I going to interfere, I'm going to impregnate half the galaxy.
He scattered the seed to the four winds. It was very upsetting.
To the four winds. Functional. And apparently, he's also... Apparently, all you have to do to be a doctor in the future is you hold this 70s cassette player with a microphone and wave it over people. Yes. And there you go.
Well, they have that thing that they like stick you in the neck with. Or like, here, this will cure it. It's like, I can do that.
And then they have Robot Doctor from our movie
Howling.
That we previously
Robert Picardo
reviewed.
Appears. Yep.
The Howling. So whatever. I'm a doctor now too. That I would stay on the ship, and I'm a doctor now too because I can hold a thing
no question.
That makes sounds.
Do you need a medical degree to do this stuff? Like the computers analyze you.
It doesn't seem like
You're
it.
right. There's the emergency medical hologram pops up, and which they don't like to use evidently. Luckily, he pops up and does a little distraction so that they can escape through one of the maintenance tunnels. He's like, well, Borg imp cause skin irritation. Can I prescribe an analgesic? It was hilarious. Good times.
I wonder how much he got paid for his 3 lines.
That character was from Voyager, wasn't from the Next Generation. So there you have it.
They just decided to throw it in there. What the hell? I think they just gathered their
pretty
friends
much
and said, "Hey, payday's coming.
That's coming. Can't beat it. They got to pay their bills too."
Yeah.
So he meets up with Lily. Lily is again confused about all this stuff because she's from the year 2063, not from the 24th century. Luckily, Picard kind of charms her into getting on board. Understand she gives up the phaser. So there's all this crazy. One by one, the Borg are taking over the ship. Smash cut to the planet. They're trying to fix Cochrum's ship. They're evidently oblivious. There's literally genocide going on. They're trying to convince him to not drink quite so much the night before the flight, evidently, while they repair. What I kept thinking to myself is, so they need the faster than light ship to travel in the solar system so that the Vulcans will see it. Cool.
Thought they were the Romulans.
The Vulcans are the good guys. It was actually, if you look, it was Spock's great-grandfather's great-grandfather is the one they actually meet. There you go.
I don't know why, but I swear to you, I thought they kept saying Romulans because, the Romulans and the Vulcans are actually...
Well, the Vulcans are ruled by logic, while the Romulans are ruled by emotion. But biologically, they're very similar. Thank you very much. So there's the genocide going on. The Borg have taken over the ship little by little. Worf is able to kill Borg with his bare hands, as is Data's basically the Terminator when he deals with it. He's throwing them and tossing them around. Then they show Ensign Lynch trying to do some hand-to-hand to no avail. If you're a regular dude, you might as well just shoot yourself with the phaser. At one point,
because what are you punching a brick wall? You're punching a computer. I mean, what are you doing? It's made out of iron.
Not much, evidently. And one by one, these randos, the red shirts, get grabbed by the Borg, and the Borg have these tubes that come out of their fingers, and they stick you in the neck with them and pump the nanites. I had to look this up. I didn't know what it was. They were poking you with, but it's a nanite that quickly turns your skin all gray, and then you become kind of one of their people, basically. One point, homie, one of the Star Trek dudes, gets stuck with it and kind of collapses, and he turns to Picard and he's like, "Help me, help me!" Picard just blasts him. I'll help you into your coffin if that's what you mean. Well, because very early on, Picard is like, you may see some of your crewmates roaming around now being all Borgy. You do not hesitate. You'll be doing them a favor. Ignoring the fact that he was actually saved from this fate not that long ago. It's like, how quickly we forget, Picardo. You're just like, yeah, I know they rescued me, but I ain't got the time to rescue anybody else. You're on your own, pal.
It's the same with all these movies. Exactly. The hero who once was them now has no compassion.
Not
for
even
them.
a little bit. He becomes serious. Mm-mm. Serious. They do manage. The Borg managed to grab Data and kidnap him, ostensibly to get the codes from him. But there's also this bizarro romance. The Borg Queen pops up, and IMDb says this is actually the first appearance of the Borg Queen, that she didn't exist prior to this.
That doesn't seem right to me. When Picard was captured, wasn't she in that?
I don't know. That's what it says here. Maybe you're right, but what they said, and this is kind of a behind the scenes thing, is that they needed a central villain, because it's hard to care about the villain if it's just a voice on the computer on the intercom or something that you're dealing with.
No, I like the Queen Bee hive thing. I thought that
it is kind of confusing because they are supposed to be a collective hive mind, but then at the same time you have the Borg Queen, who it's like, are you the one calling the shots, or is it all just? Are you just kind of an avatar for the collective, or what the story is? But anywho,
and she wouldn't really discuss it. But it seems to me that it's like a beehive.
Well, and even Data says that's an interesting, if cryptic, answer, and that's what the audience was thinking as well. So she tries to basically bribe Data by grafting human skin onto his arm, which I found very fascinating. It was like literally just a slab of flesh kind of taped on there. It was kind of stretched over. And you notice that underneath Data's like synthetic flesh is a lot of like flashing lights. Why is that necessary? Why would you have nonstop flashing lights under your skin? Hard to say. Hard to say. And wouldn't they shine through? Wouldn't you be like glowing constantly?
Good call, Brother Bear. Good call. Yeah, that was disturbingly erotic as she's blowing on it. And he has like an orgasm. That was very upsetting.
He got goosebumps.
Very upsetting.
Which is a new sensation.
Yeah, we all have goosebumps, but we don't necessarily.
There's definitely cleanup on aisle 12. No question. He is fully functional after all. Very upsetting. And so this goes on and on. Picard becomes more bloodthirsty as this is going on. They realize that the Borg are trying to set up like some kind of communication device to call the Borg that are existing in the 21st century in the Delta Quadrant. He goes out there in an astronaut suit with Worf and Lieutenant Hawk. Exactly. Who is he? Don't get too attached. Don't get too attached.
Yeah. Whenever you see a new face, you figure,
totally. It was like, here are every character I know, and here's Lieutenant Hawk, who I've never seen before.
Isn't he the dude who played like Captain Kirk or something? He looks just like that dude. Although he must be much older. He is actually,
I don't know what his name is. I can look it up, but I'm not going to. You've seen him in stuff within the last like 10 or 15 years, but he's shocking. He has like white hair and like crazy blue eyes. So he's like another. If you saw him, you'd know who he was.
Cal Ripken,
if you
Evil
saw
Eye.
him, you'd know exactly who he was because he looks very different here.
I'm starting to think that because here he looks like the dude who played Kirk in the new Star.
I have to say this, and I wrote this down in my notes. In the future, your sideburns have to be like points. You can't just have normal sideburns. Everybody, like Data has like the pointy sideburns. Picard's got them. Even Lieutenant Hawk has got the crazy pointy sideburns. I know it's a Captain Kirk thing, but evidently we're carrying it on years later. Okay, that's not easy to do, by the way. Pointy sideburns is not easy. I'm just going to tell you. Anyway, so they go outside of the Enterprise, and you see the Borg walking around trying to set up some kind of satellite array on the dish. They managed to foil the plans, but of course not before Hawk is turned. I'm going to call him Hoke. Who knows? Hawk. He gets turned into a Borg, I swear to God, in 15 seconds. Right? He almost deactivates the clamp and then gets grabbed by a Borg, taken off camera, again, 10 seconds.
And Borgified.
Not just gray skin, but he even has implants. What, they took his helmet off in outer space and slapped some implants? It's like, what is happening? Anyway, again, Picard is not does not give a good goddamn. Later, he's trying to escape the Borg. He takes Lily into the holodeck because they're visiting every deck, every room in the Enterprise, where it's like some kind of 1920s, Sam Spade mystery. Is that what it is?
Oh my God, he's so cool. Yes, and if I was on the ship, I would be in the holodeck.
Well, if you're the captain of the ship, don't you have like duties? You can't be like, I'll be in the holodeck for the next 4 hours. What the heck is going on? Anyway,
you got the it's all computers. They're doing everything for you. All you have to do is say,
make it so.
And make it so. So it is written, so Pretty it much. Shall be done. That's from the Ten Commandments.
So he goes in there, but not before like forcing the Borg to follow him in there. And he grabs like a computer-generated Tommy gun from one of the gangsters and shoots the Borg. And it works. It works. I kept thinking, I'd just be leading. Come on, Borg, come on in. If that works, I'd stay in the holodeck all day. Anyway, again, it shows the rage bubbling up. He's about to like beat the dead Borg with his rifle at this point. Lily has to stop him.
For sure, he has some Borg issues. A lot of
no. It's not that
rage.
Repressed either, frankly. He goes to the corpse and roots around in the body, like digging into the body, and pulls out a chip because this is the control chip.
Like
gutting it with his bare hands. Bare hands. He didn't pull out a scalpel. Lily notices that underneath the Borg apparel, she sees the Starfleet uniform underneath. It's like, oh my God, Jean-Luc, this is one of your men. He's like, yeah, I know. This is Yeoman Lynch. Ensign Lynch. She's like, tough luck for him, I guess.
You're right, sister.
Picard did not give a big goddamn. Again. So he figures out what the plan is. Now everybody's like, we're getting our butts kicked. Our weapons don't work anymore. What should we do, Captain? Jean-Luc is like, I don't care. Go down there, fight them hand to hand. And even Worf is like, this is nuts. I like nothing better than to mix it up with the Borg, but we're getting cream down there. Everybody's turning against him. Worf and Picard have this moment where Picard says, "You're a filthy coward." It was very upsetting. Worf was like, "If you were another man, I would kill you where you stand." So Lily goes in and talks some sense into Picard. He gives this long speech, was like, "The line must be drawn here." It's a very Shakespearean moment.
He doesn't want to blow up the ship.
That's their plan. They say, if you blow up the ship, then we're cool. We destroy the Borg. Now, granted, we can't go back to the future. We're trapped in the past, but at least humanity is saved, is the idea.
I don't want to be trapped in the past, 300 years in the past. I think he's right on there with that. I'm like, with these primitives?
She compares him to Captain Ahab, and evidently that does the trick. The trick. It kind of...
apparently a book she's never read either.
Quoting the lines from Moby Dick, and she's like, "Oh, I haven't read it." Wah wah wah.
Wah wah wah.
So they start evacuating the ship. Everybody starts escaping as much as they can, but Picard's not going. He's like, "I'm gonna, I don't know, sacrifice myself for no reason." Oh, he's going to go get Data because Data is still been held prisoner. So he gets down there, and Data now has half of his face is like covered with human flesh, normal flesh, and he's got like a crazy blue eye now, and his hair is like kind of fashionably styled over that part of like his face for some reason. It's like it was very bizarre. It was like my hair is slicked back on the android side, but on the human side now I've got a little curl. I look like Harry Styles or somebody. But evidently, like, he's on board. He's like, now I'm with the agenda of the Borg Queen. I deactivate the computers. I'm turning off the self-destruct mechanism. Sorry, Picard, this isn't going to work. You're screwed. But he isn't. Data, he
That's
comes,
right.
It was all a ruse. He says resistance is futile. He smashes his hand into some kind of, I don't even know what it was. It was like a vat or a tub of something.
It was like antimatter, plasma, witchcraft.
It will destroy all organic things. So Picard acts like Errol Flynn, leaps through the air, is hanging on crazy vacuum tubes that are just hanging out of the wall, and all the Borg are wiped out. Basically, they're all, because even though they're mostly machine, they require their organic parts to survive. They flump over. The Borg Queen flumps over. And when the Borg Queen dies, all the remaining ones who maybe weren't dipped in the plasma also drop over. Data's fine. It's just those few pieces of flesh are kind of burned off, and he's cool.
Let me ask you this question. So, Borg Queen gone, therefore no more Borgs anywhere?
These are interesting questions.
Was that a belch? Well, not only that, how about right after this? When we find out that her brain and spine are robots. So I don't even understand that at all.
Sense. Well, he does pick it up.
Where did she come from?
Too, though, right? When it's all said and done.
Right.
So that's the end of that. Zefram Cochrane does fly.
No, go back to my question. How did she come to be? She would have had to have started as a robot.
I don't know.
What's her origin story? You have so many superhero bullcrap origin stories that I could not give an F about. Where does Borg Queen come from?
How long has she been around?
That would be interesting.
Who knows? So they've defeated the Borg on the ship. Riker and LaForge jump in the back of the rocket ship with Cochrane. They do the flight. The Vulcans are there. Everything's cool. They have first contact. Everything's fine. They managed to make their way back to the future. The end. Did I forget anything?
That about covers it.
Done. This is important because I was on Twitter, just kind of like I do, and people were constantly talking about First Contact Day. It's because First Contact Day, according to the movie, is April 4th. So there you go.
My birthday.
Your first contact. Very good.
It'd be my first contact, and I've decided that potentially I could still be alive when this date comes to pass. I'll be close to 100, but I did give up smoking 5 years ago, so I plan on living
that's
forever.
Important. Couple random crazy observations. There's a scene where Data and Picard go to the planet to kind of assess the damage, and Lily pops out with a machine gun and shoots Data point blank in the chest and in the front 100 times.
Like 100 times.
Right after he literally drops down like 100 feet off a high, I don't know, like a walkway or a catwalk or something. And he's fine. I'm like, bullets don't bounce off him. They penetrate him. But evidently his internal functions are not that important. Or what's the story? Again, he's the Terminator, evidently. He is undefeatable. So they should have leaned into that.
And none of this happened in the previous. I don't remember him just flying through the... Yeah, I don't remember him being the Terminator in the series. But now he is immortal.
He's indestructible. Like, literally, again, the Borg are established, like, if you're a regular dude, the Borg will get you. They will get you, and there's not a whole hell of a lot you can do. Meanwhile, Data just goes to the Borg, just tosses them around. One hand, pops him in the head. He's like Bruce Lee out there, just killing these Borgs like they're nothing. So he is obviously, I mean, there's something going on. He's like the most powerful dude.
Wait, I don't understand how they were able to capture him.
Well, they grabbed his legs and they pulled him. His weakness.
Is that... His weaknesses are
if you grab him around the ankle, he's totally defenseless. Okay, so another thing I noticed. So they grab the Borg, they turn them into these cyborgs, and they have to attach a crazy kind of useless club arm to them for some reason. It's like a couple of those people, it was like weird little like things poking off it, but it was like, what is the purpose of this thing? Some of them have like knives or claws, which seem to make sense. Others do not. They're just literally just a hand would be more useful here. Why not just leave the hand?
I want a claw. I don't want like a Evil Dead chainsaw, but I would like to have like a sharp claw.
Why not? For God's sakes. Let's think. Yeah, there's a lot. I've had a lot. Literally, I had a lot of notes here. There's the scene. So they have to go down to the planet. They all have to wear like mid 21st century attire. So when Picard and Data go back to the Enterprise, they're still wearing their mid 20th century attire. Then they're like, let's go get the Borg. Hang on. I got to change back into my Starfleet uniform. Give me a minute.
Exactly.
I know half the ship has already been assimilated, but I got to be in my regular attire. But of course, Picard is wearing like a fancy vest that we've never seen him wear before.
Oh, that vest was terrible. Who keeps bringing the vest back? No. I had some issues because I always liked Next Generation uniforms. They always look very sharp with the padded shoulders.
Yep.
It cut a good line. But then the problem always was they want to show them in their casual attire. Like Picard always had some kind of deep V and like a vest for sitting around listening to Bach, Beethoven, or
yes, he was sporting the deep V through 90% of this movie. It was like, what is happening? Oh, sweet. All I needed was a medallion at this stage of the game. Okay, here's a
fantastic.
Question. Do they need Zefram Cochrane to fly? Let me tell you what I'm thinking.
They don't need him to be in there for sure. And why are they in the ship with them?
If Cochrane's like, forget this, I'm not flying. Couldn't they just fly it themselves and just, hey, and pretend to be Zefram Cochrane for the history books?
Right. Because the Prime Directive is out the window.
They told Zefram Cochrane they were from the future, like 5 minutes after arriving on the planet. But to take it even another level, if the reason why First Contact occurs is because they flew that interstellar ship, newsflash, they already have an interstellar ship in the solar system. The Enterprise. Can't they just use that to make First Contact?
Yeah, interesting that the Vulcans didn't pick up on this giant ship that's 100 times bigger than their own ship. It was hidden by a moonbeam or something. Barbarella's ship blew by and disguised it. Yeah,
there were a lot of funny lines. Lily was when he was talking about the Borg. Picard was talking about the Borg to Lily. She was like, "The Borg, they sound Swedish." And later she sees them. She's like, definitely not
Bjorn
Swedish.
Borg.
Definitely not Swedish."
I wrote down a couple of good lines too, but of course I left that notebook
good
on my
times. Any other observations?
There's a couple of Data double entendres. There's always some wacky business. My problem with when I was looking at this, because I like a month ago, I caught a couple old Next Generation episodes, and I was like, I need to start. I'm like, I need to start watching this again. But a couple of things that I found it a little annoying is that they were overly fancy. The other one, they had. They're at work, They had your old girlfriend there dolled up way too fancy, and it frankly didn't even.
She had like a mini skirt or whatever on those early Next Generation.
Yeah,
she was the best. I'll tell you what. Truthfully, initially I liked Yar, but in retrospect, I'm like, no. Troy is the one.
You like a rounder lady. The other Yar was clearly a lesbian.
Yes, in retrospect, that is definitely the case, and they killed her off.
That's why it was because she was going on to bigger and better things.
Yes.
Or so she thought. Exactly. That's always the difference. When they kill you off because you're going on to better things, that means they hate you and you're never coming back. Only in soap operas do they bring you back as your evil twin or you'd been kidnapped by a
They did bring her
machine
back, though,
whatever.
a couple times, if I remember. Not like as a clone or as a ghost or as a memory or something. I remember she popped up a couple more times. But you're right. It was like
Data and she always had some deep thing going on because that was his first whatever.
Okay, let's go to.
I guess it doesn't really go against the robot code or the lesbian code if you're with a robot, because is a robot really male or female or
wait? What's the lesbian code? Is my next question. Interesting. Moving on.
Well, a lesbian code. I mean, now of course we're in a more fluid time, But back in the 90s, it was more regimented.
Okay, we're getting into dangerous territory here. Let's bring it back to behind the scenes, if I may.
Lay it on. Oh, Jonathan Frakes is clearly wearing a rug at this point. So at this point, Jonathan Frakes, who I love, Riker, because he always has like the twinkle in his eye.
Yeah.
He looks like he'd just be savage in bed. Anyway, he has a twinkle in his eye. I will tell you, I hated so much about the original Star Trek is that freaking Captain Kirk was so out of control. He should have been court-martialed before he was 20 and executed. Right. But I like the Picard and the Riker. Neither one is crazy.
Right.
Neither one. You don't have to be all emotion and no emotion. Spock versus Kirk. They both have their own personalities, and I really appreciated that.
Well, what's interesting in the behind the scenes is the fact that originally in the script, it's Riker on the ship and it's Picard on the planet. And Patrick Stewart said, no way, switch it. Because he wanted to show off that he's virile and action-oriented and all that good stuff. So Riker got sent to the planet.
Because it's Picard's show, man. Don't worry about that.
It makes a lot more sense to have it be Picard. Because he's the one with the background on the Borg. If he's on the planet, he's oblivious to anything that's happening.
Absolutely. And he's the captain. He's not supposed to. I never understood how the captains were always on these away teams. They need to be on the ship. The captain goes down with the ship. This is your protection, not off to some other planet to see what the hell's going on. The captain stays on the ship.
You send your number one.
Number one, exactly.
You send him. So there you have it. They were the crew of the original Next Generation show was never happy with the way that the Borg were portrayed on the TV series due to budgetary concerns.
Right.
So they were really happy that with a much bigger budget for the movie, they were able to really kind of show it. And they wound up using these same sets and things for Star Trek Voyager after that.
Oh,
so there you have it.
Because the Borg is a terrifying idea. It is a terrifying.
It is.
Resistance is futile. You are going to join them whether you want to or not, and you're not even going to care.
Right, because your weapons, after a while, your weapons become useless.
That's a scary thing. It is a virus. It adapts. It mutates. So you get one shot, and then you better have a good B plan because that's not going to happen again.
That's true. Let's see. This is the first movie or TV show episode where the words Star Trek are actually said. So James Cromwell, as Zefram Cochrane says, so you guys are on some sort of a Star Trek. Bum, bum, bum. Good times.
Mm-hmm.
I said this earlier. The Borg Queen was created because the writers were having difficulty in writing dialogue for what was intended to be the Borg's central computer.
No, she's fantastic. She's beautiful. She's got a crazy accent. And she looks like her skin is cold and oily like a snake.
I don't know about beautiful. She looks like a mutant zombie. Cenobite.
I thought she was beautiful.
You don't know you're beautiful.
Frankly, I thought you'd be all on board after your great Lieutenant Yar revelations.
This is the first movie where they replaced Geordi's visor with like ocular implants.
Yeah, he was hated that.
Right. He thought it kind of inhibited his ability to act. So. Very sad. You can see him a lot without his visor on Reading Rainbow on PBS.
Reading Rainbow, take a look. It's in a book. The Reading Rainbow.
That's true. Whoopi Goldberg was not asked to return as Guinan, even though her character has a lot to do with the Borg. So she couldn't understand why.
Well, I don't know why they had Troy on. Who the hell cares? She didn't use any of her really empathic abilities. She was there just because they liked her, and she wanders around a couple of times. She really contributed nothing to it.
She's a hottie. That's what she contributes.
She's got some that top knot bullshit. I mean, she looks terrible.
Top knot.
She looked much better in the regular show. And I never liked the way they dealt with her relationship with Riker. It was always this, 20 years
Will
of
they,
sexual.
won't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just effing do it.
Well, and they even talk about it in the movie where he's like, "Is this your husband?" She's like, "No, that ship has sailed."
That's right. He's dead to me. The son of a bitch. He had his chance.
He had his chance. So this movie was directed by William Riker himself, Jonathan Frakes.
Yeah.
And he got the nickname Two Takes Frakes.
Because he ain't got no time. Boom, boom.
He's basically the Clint Eastwood, where it's just like, we're just, we're doing this once, maybe twice, and we're getting on with our lives. There you have it. Michael Dorn, Brent Spiner, Gates McFadden, and Jonathan Frakes have all been quoted. This is their favorite of all the 4 Star Trek movies they were in. I have to agree.
I would have to agree too. But the problem, really the only problem I have is it's just not very sophisticated.
No.
And maybe I'm jaded, but it's just an extended version of the TV show. The writing wasn't that sophisticated. There's some gaps that,
No, it's true. It's just...
I don't like how they styled everybody. If you didn't know these people, you would know nothing about it. If this is your first experience with Next Generation, you wouldn't know anything about it. There's nothing about their personality. The characters aren't very developed.
Right. I don't disagree. It's fine, though. It gets the job done.
It gets the job done. There's no violence, except when he's shoving his arm up his friend to get the battery pack out or whatever.
Poor Ensign Lynch. Is that the one you're talking about?
Poor Ensign Lynch. It's scary, but not too scary. It's fun for the whole family.
It's fun.
It makes me want to go back and watch the old series.
It's on Netflix.
I'm down.
I actually started watching a couple episodes after seeing this because I was kind of like, I feel like I need to know more about the Borg. So there you go. I started. We'll see what happens.
You have to see the first one, the one with Q. Do you know who Q is?
Of course. He was in the, what is it? Something at Farpoint, the pilot episode.
Well, he was also in the one with, he's the one who brought the Borg because he felt he's an omnipotent being. He's the one who brought the Borg to Picard just to F with him. Because he felt that he was overconfident and all this stuff. So I forget what it says. It's Q something or other, but that's where we were first introduced to the Borg.
Yeah. The
Is that
episode's
it?
called Q Who. It's in season 2 of Star Trek: The Next Generation. So check it out.
I'm going to go watch that today. I'm going to watch because I love Q. The character of Q, I loved also. He was the evil husband in the or the molester doctor in The Hand That Rocked the Cradle.
I do remember that. Yes.
Do you remember that?
Rebecca De Mornay's husband who commits suicide because he was given exams, but he'd take his glove off surreptitiously first. Horrible.
Give her a special massage. Exactly.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
I've seen that movie 10,000 times, and I hate the wife and I hate the husband. I end up rooting for Rebecca De Mornay.
I've seen it once, and once was enough. Let me tell you.
It seems to be one of those movies that are always on, like on a Saturday at 3:00.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, I'm going to blow your mind. The original actor that was going to be Zefram Cochrane, the explorer from the mid-21st century, was going to be Tom Hanks. But he had to bail. He had to bail because he was doing That Thing You Do. So they settled on poor old. So there you have it.
Which James Cromwell is a great actor. That'll Do, Pig, L.A. Confidential. Yep. This role.
A ton of stuff. Yeah. Revenge of the Nerds.
Yeah. This was not his shining role. This was
like
not. His whole character was boring and ridiculous.
I only cared when they were on the ship dealing with the Borg. When they're on the planet dealing with drunken Zefram Cochrane, who isn't sure he wants to fly the plane anymore, doesn't want to be a hero. Don't tell me about a statue that you went to Saffron Cochran School. So,
yeah, this is what I'm talking about.
This
was like this was TV writing. That was TV writing for the 90s. At that point, I was unloading the dishwasher because I've literally seen this so many times. And as soon as I heard any Borg-like, because it's the Borg you want to see.
Of course.
You want more Borg, and you want them to be more terrifying.
Yes, I agree.
I think they gave up on the Borg much too soon. And maybe the Borg need to visit whenever we have movies again after the plague passes over us. We need to have more frickin' Borg.
Well, it's that thing. Problem with the Borg, which is kind of similar to the problem with zombies in general, is it's just kind of like they don't have a lot of personality, number one. And they're either super weak or totally indestructible. So it's hard to find a good middle ground. You know what I mean? It's like
listen to me. Listen to me. Here it is. This is our chance. We're going to get the backstory for the Borg Queen. That could be interesting.
There you go.
Hello, Hollywood. Hello, Hollywood.
Just send it now. Any last thoughts and feelings before we get on with our lives?
I'm just saying, I never really watched Deep Space Nine. I watched one or two Voyagers, but my allegiance, as you can tell we will post on the site my fantastic Next Generation uniform.
Can't wait.
Can't wait.
So there you have it. I'm cutting you off. There you have it. Go to our page on Facebook at Podcast That Wouldn't Die. Go to our page on Twitter at TPodcastTWDie. Like, subscribe to both because they're different. You can email us at thepodcastthatwouldn'tdie@gmail. We're on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Share, subscribe, and rate. And Aaron,
I am the Cult of Aaron.
So go check out the Cult of Aaron. So yeah, there you have it. Thank you very much for joining us, and be well.
Stay safe. Don't go to Costco. Costco delivers now. Don't be an idiot, or I'll send the Borg to mess with you.